Hey guys, what's going on? So in this video, we'll be learning about the is keyword. I know many of you might have some confusion between equals to and the is keyword. Although both of them are used for comparisons and both of them return the boolean values, but it is much better to know that equals to or equality is used to check for equality. In equality, it compares the values which are stored inside the variables, while is checks for identity. In identity, we check whether the variables are referring to the same object or not. So if you don't understand right now, no need to worry. We will be understanding about the is keyword in depth in this video. So before we move in, I want to give you 2 points. First point is that remember variables are references to objects and every object tend to take up some amount of space in the computer memory. And the second thing is that before we move further into this video, it's really important for you to know what is mutable and immutable data types or objects. So if you don't know what these are, I have created a video on this and I will give a link to it in the description below, or you can click on the card at the top right corner. The reason why I mentioned that you must know about mutable and immutable is that the behavior of is tend to change according to mutable and immutable objects, and we will look exactly how in this video. To start off with, let's talk about mutable objects. So let me create a variable lst1 and let me pass a list to it 1 2 3, and let me create another variable lst2 and let me pass value 2 3 4. And if I do print lst1 is lst2. Okay, so at this point, let me refresh what exactly is keyword does. So is keywords checks whether the given variables refer to the same object. So in this case, we can see that 1 2 3 is an object and 2 3 4 is another object. So if I do list1 is list2, lst1 is lst2, it will definitely give me false since they are not same. Now, although it would give me the same for equals to as well, because the values stored inside lst1 is 1 2 3 and which is stored inside lst2 is 2 3 4, and they are not same. So if I try to run it, it will still give me false. Now here comes the catch. What if I do lst2 as 1 2 3? So double equals to or equality operator will definitely give me true. Yeah, saying yes, the values inside both of them are same. But what if I do is? You would notice that is would give me false. The reason is lst1 is holding a list object with values 1 2 3 and lst2 holds another object with values 1 2 and 3, or you can say with elements 1 2 and 3. Now, as I told you before, remember that every objects tend to take up some amount of space in the memory. So there is a way in which you can represent the memory address. So it's actually a unique ID of memory, you can say that. So let's print out the unique IDs of memory of the first variable and the second variable. So if I do that, print out ID of lst1, or I can say in more general form as the memory address of the object which is referenced by lst1 and the memory address of the object which is referenced by lst2. If we do that, you would see that the first object is stored in this memory location and the second object 1 2 3 is stored in this memory location. So as I told you before, is checks whether both these objects are same or not. Definitely both these objects are not same because they are having different memory addresses. That's why it gave us false. Now see what happens if I do lst2 is equal to lst1. So let me go ahead and actually comment this one. I'll show you later. So if I run this command, you would see it will give me true. Reason? Because this time lst2 is pointing to the same object that lst1 is pointing to. So lst1 is initially pointing to the object 1 2 3, and now we have assigned lst2 to point to the object which is being stored by lst1. In this case, this would return true because both of them are pointing to the same object. So if I print the IDs, you will notice that both of them yield us the same ID because both of them are pointing to the same object 1 2 3. Now, in order to show that I have visualization, you can take a look at that. So let's take a look at the memory assignment. Okay, so when we initially did lst1 equals to 1 2 3, lst1 variable is now pointing or referencing to the object stored at the ID, let's say ending with 16. Now when we assigned lst2 equals to lst1, now it is also pointing to the same object stored by lst1. Now in this case, both of them are referring to the same object. Hence we got lst2 or lst1 is lst2 as true. Now in the previous case, if you look at the memory location, there you go. So 1 2 3 of lst1 was stored at something ending with 16 and the memory location of lst2 equals to 123 was stored at something ending with 32. So clearly those were two different objects stored at different location. Now that was about the mutable data type, and mutable data type was pretty straightforward when it comes to is operation. Now in immutable data type, let's see what happens. So let's say we have a string, say s equal to hello, and okay, before let me go and clear the screen. Cool. And we have another string st, say hi. Now let me go ahead and print s is st. You see it will give me false. Reason? Let us print those IDs as well. ID of s, ID of st. Because these two objects are different situated at different memory locations. When we do st equals s equals to hello and st equals to s, now in this case st variable is also pointing to the same object stored by s, so this should print true and the IDs should be same. Okay, so I accidentally print 2 times, no problem. It gave us true and the IDs are same. Cool. Now here comes the catch. There is an unexpected behavior when it comes to immutable objects. So if I say s equals to hello and if I say st equals to hello, and now if I do print s is st, in case of mutable data types, we observe that, let me write, we did lst1 equals to 1 2 3, and we did there that lst2 equals to 1 2 3. In case of mutables, these two were different objects. Remember, this 1 2 3 and another 1 2 3 were different objects. So if we follow that context, then this should mean that both the hello objects should be stored at different locations, right? But you see, it's not. Since it printed true, this means that both of them are referring to the same object. How is it even possible? Let us go ahead and print the IDs as well. ID of s. Let me go ahead and print ID of st. Let me go ahead and see. How? Both of them are printing me the same output. That means this hello object is stored at the same location and this hello object is also stored at the same location. But why? Okay, let me tell you the reason why. So in immutable data type, Python tries to save some space or optimize the code by referring to the same object if it exists, no matter how many variables you create. So let me go ahead and create, say, stt equals to, let me put hello. Let me copy the same line and let me create 2 to 3 more variables, st2, st3, st4. And no matter how many times if I do go ahead and check, it will still give me true. That's because, as I told you before, Python tries to optimize the code by referring to the same immutable object if it exists in its memory. The reason is pretty neat. So definitely we know for sure that we can't modify the contents inside immutable data types, right? So why waste a few resources or space for every immutable object created which is already there in the memory? Hence, for every immutable objects created, if that object is present in its memory, the Python refer back to the already present object instead of creating a new one. So it's all about saving memory instead of creating so many duplicate immutable objects. Now same so-called anomalous behavior happens with integer, float and other immutable objects. But in case of mutable objects, if you create 2 variables as we have seen below, so let me go ahead and grab those code. Okay, so here's the code. So in case of mutable objects, if you create 2 variables with same values, variables referring to mutable objects guarantee that they will point to different objects, although the value will look similar. So the reason for this is that mutable objects are modifiable after assignment. Let me go ahead and print this one last final time. So that's why it gave us false, since these 2 objects are not same. And if you want both of them to refer to the same object, what you can do is that you can simply type lst2 equals to lst1. And now if I go ahead and print lst1 is lst2, now it would print true, since now lst2 is pointing to the same object as that of lst1. Alright guys, so that's all for this video. I hope you really learned something new that you never knew before. And if you really like this video, make sure to support us. And simplest and the easiest one is to simply like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can also spread the word to others who really want to learn about Python programming and other tech stack. We would be happy to help, and in those ways you can really contribute us and help our channel to grow. Alright guys, see you in the next lecture.